Hello everyone and welcome back to Pit Skill. This is the Porsche Cup series sponsored by SimQuips, and tonight we have got round 5 for you here at sunny-ish Brands Hatch, where the real life GT World Challenge was just bare days ago. And at the moment we have got Reese Tattersall setting the pace in the no practice gang pink liveried cup car. I believe caught up just behind our generous sponsor Chris Wright in the SimQuips liveried car. So we have got Tattersall on a 126.9. I mean, he's just about into the 126s. And in P2, currently in the pits, we have Christian Faggy, who's just leaving the pit lane now in the unsafety car racing. And in P3, at the moment, we have our Bathurst winner, Ryan Ware. Let's see who can improve in these final 7 minutes of this qualifying session. We have got Sam McCarthy on what looks like to be a improved lap, so we will stick with this driver as he comes around up into the long back straight here at this Brands Hatch circuit. As our current, I was about to say our current pole sitter, Ryan Ware, but actually, I didn't realise that Ryan Ware had jumped up there. It's Reese Tattersall currently who leads this series at the moment on 174 points, ahead of Chris Wright and Oliver White. White, unfortunately, not present for tonight's race, so I will not be picking up any points. Could be an opportunity for our current third place driver, Christian Faggy, to move his way up the standings. So as McCarthy crosses the line up to P4, and we're seeing the lap times coming down now as Reese Tattersall goes back to the top of our timings with a 126.73, and let's check in with Balaj Feher with the longest team name I've ever seen in this game. I didn't realise that was even possible. And oh my god, that makes the UI look absolutely hideous. But it's actually, I did not realise Balaj was running the SimQuips livery. That's not going to be confusing at all. As I want to jump around and find drivers who are improving, but it is Sam McCarthy who is constantly improving at the moment, so we'll keep an eye on his time. Currently half a second up on his previous best, and might be one of the few drivers to dip into the 1 minute 26s. Actually, we will watch Sam McCarthy finish off his lap, as this is looking like it could be an absolute stormer of a lap. He crosses the line, and it's a 126.89, puts him P2 for now, just 1.6 tenths off of our current original pole sitter, Reese Tattersall. As we have Marco Lorenzo, who is only driven in our second event, also at Misano in this series. And is finding considerable time with I believe that's Katrama ahead. Oh no, sorry, that isn't. Yes, that is Harold Katrama. in the team not last upcut. Oh, but it is this driver, Ryan Ware, who is finding the time at the moment. Currently sitting on a 1:26.962. One of only 3 drivers to have dipped into the 1:26s during this qualifying session. And is looking to improve. Needs to find 0.232 of a second in order to catch the current provisional pole sitter, that of Reese Tattersall. And getting very sideways as we come through into the 3rd sector. As we go on board with Ware to finish off this lap. Just 1 corner to go. Needs to make sure this one is neat and tidy. A little bit of a slide there. That's going to cost him coming out of the corner. But held it well. As we come down towards the line, it's going to be close. And it's a 1:26.74. Exactly 100th of a second off of Tattersall's time. We'll have time for another couple of flying laps. But it is now the turn of Reese Tattersall to try and improve. We'll see what sort of pace our pole time will be. As Reese Tattersall finding handfuls of time through the first 2 sectors. Currently 0.4 of a second up on his previous best, as I think that's Ryan Ware getting all out of shape ahead. Not proving to be too much of a distraction for Tattersall though. As we watch him throw it through Sheen Curve at the top of the hill. Just keeping it on the track using all of the available racing surface. Just 1 corner to go, and this could be an absolute stormer of a lap. He throws it into the final corner, gets the traction down, and this is going to be a demotivating one for Ware. As Tattersall crosses the line, a 1:26.172. Puts him for half a second clear of Ware. And that, I think, should be in pretty good stead for pole position tonight. Let's check in with Jordan Smith in the lovely British Racing Green Smithy racing car. Going very sideways through the final corner. That will cost him. And it was looking for a good improvement there for Smith, but just losing it there in the final corner. So easy to just catch that little bit of oversteer and have your unintentional return to the pit lane. Well, there's a car off the track ahead. I believe that is Catchelmat. Needs to be careful to keep out of the way as Joe Wilson comes down towards the final corner. And to cross the line, we'll see him improving times. Could jump in a position or 2. Just the 1 position. Jumps ahead of Chris Wright for a 1:27.3. And that is qualifying over for tonight. On pole position will be Reese Tattersall, followed by Ryan Ware and Sam McCarthy. And we will be back in just a few short moments for tonight's race. And as we get ready for the drivers to start tonight's race, we have just enough time to take you through the starting grid for tonight's race. On pole position, we have got Reese Tattersall, followed by Ryan Ware. Sam McCarthy, starting the second row. Alongside him will be Christian Feig. We then have Bendel and Joe Wilson. And then confusingly, we have the 2 SimQuips cars of Chris Wright and Balaj here. We then have Husinskas in the yellow Porsche, followed by Lorenzo. Then on the rear row of the grid, we have got Katchelmeyer and Smith. As we hear the engines roar and our drivers take us away for the formation lap, we are just minutes away from the start of this race here tonight at Brands Hatch, where Rhys Tatzel will be hoping to extend his championship lead over Chris Wright. And so, a reminder for those of you who are unfamiliar with the format for tonight's event, we have got a 30-minute race with no pit stops. And so it will be a straight sprint from start to finish. With only a 30-minute race, it should be nice and easy on the tyres. And with these Porsche Cup cars, going to be a little bit of jeopardy with how close the grass here is around this Brands Hatch circuit. As we often see cars getting caught out, then just a wheel out onto the grass where it is very, very slippery. We saw drivers falling foul of that in the real world GT challenge at the weekend as well. So very, very easy to do. We're just now 2 corners away from the green flag for tonight's race. And our championship leader starting on pole position. And Chris Wright down in 11th. I'm not sure if that's... Oh, no. So he is in his proper place now. I think he was just getting into position for the race start. Will be just alongside Balaj. Down towards the line, and the green flag waves, and we are racing at Brands Hatch. Rhys Tatzel with a good start, leads the way from Ryan Ware. So they're nose to tail through the first corner. We've got Christian Fagey and Sam McCarthy side by side coming into Druids, and it is Sam McCarthy who's got the inside line. Christian will just have to drop back. And we have got position changes all over behind the leaders. As Christian Fagey goes for the dive up the inside, taps the rear of Sam McCarthy, who spins around, and it is chaos behind. As Chris Wright gets caught up in that as well, is now down into P9. Sam McCarthy drops to the back of the field. As we have a battle brewing for P5 as both Joe Wilson and Lorenzo go off track. That has allowed Kukinskas through into P6 as now Lorenzo finds himself under pressure from Christian Fagey up the inside. Gets the move made through Sheen Curve, and it is now the turn of Balaj Fahit. Oh no, I believe that is Chris Wright actually. Balaj all the way up into 4th position now. Let's see what can Chris Wright do here now. Tucked up behind Lorenzo. We come round to complete our first racing lap. It is Chris Wright who is looking up the inside. And that is move made for Chris Wright back up into P8 after an instant field first lap. As our field is starting to spread out ever so slightly, Joe Wilson is sticking to the back of Balazs Fahit. As we've got Christian Fege having a little bit of off-roading there. Oh, and is lucky there to not clip the car of Lorenzon as he comes back on track in a very wayward fashion. And, well, as predicted, we're seeing many drivers running foul of driving onto the grass. I don't think the groundskeeper is going to be especially happy with some of the lines these drivers are taking. I think he'd much rather have these lawn professionally mode rather than Porsche mode. But Joe Wilson now closer than he has been as they come through Paddock Hill Bend. I believe something has just happened with Chris Wright. He's dropped a number of positions now. Oh, just runs out onto the gravel, and that is going to lose him plenty of positions down that long start-finish straight as Fege and Lorenzon make their way past. So Chris Wright back down into P9, and well, Chris Wright going to have to do that work all over again as we see, I believe that is Katchelmeyer off the track in the background. I think Chris Wright has made his way past Lorenzon, but these two are battling through the back section of the track, coming down towards the final corner now. And very, very close to the grass, just about keeping it within the bounds of the track. And Chris Wright should have a run on Lorenzon as there's yellow flags out for Reese Tattersall. Oh, and just coming out of Paddock Hill, Ben runs into the gravel. Oh, and losing the rear completely, trying to get the power down. And that sees Reese Tattersall drop down into 4th position, is now under pressure from Joe Wilson. As what was looking at like a quite spread out field has now got ever so closer as Ryan Ware inherits the lead. It's now a 4-way battle over P2 as Bernard Bendel leads Balazs Fahit, Reese Tattersall and Joe Wilson down towards the final corner. And these cars behind all battling quite hard, allowing Bernard just that little bit of breathing room as Reese Tattersall looks to the inside of Fahit. Oh, and a big snap of oversteer, and that sees Balazs Fahit off into the gravel. And we'll see if we can get that from another angle, because I suspect there is going to be damage to that baby blue car. And, oh, well, the tree just trying to get in our way, but that was definitely contact with the barrier as Balazs is back underway on the racing surface. That is going to be hurting the front of that car, as it does seem these drivers having great difficulty in keeping their cars on the road in this race. We're expecting that Bathurst was going to be the most treacherous track for these drivers in these cars. Turns out not to be the case, as it's actually the slippery grass of Brands Hatch which is catching out the majority of the drivers today. As again, we have another car off the track. Chris Wright now back up into P7. They'll be hoping he can keep it tidy and hold on to that position this time around. As he's got 4 seconds to make up to Kukinskas ahead in the 111 car. As Reese Tatzel up into 3rd position after that considerable moment for Raj Fahit, who finds himself down in P10 now with what I can only imagine is a severely damaged car. But Reese Tatzel showing pace that he demonstrated in qualifying is now right onto the back of Bernard Bendel. Sam McCarthy also trying to make his way back up the order. Showing such strong pace in qualifying. He's found himself now stuck behind Lorenzon. And looks to the inside. Nothing doing there. Reese Tatzel has made his way up into P2. Let's see how he got this move made. Going to try and take the outside line into the final corner. And that is move made for Reese Tatzel. Up into P2 now. As Sam McCarthy has got the move made on Lorenzon there. I believe that was up through Sheen Curve. Oh no, sorry, it wasn't. Move made up the inside through Druids. And that was Lorenzon getting the switch back. But solid racing from the pair of them there. Giving each other plenty of space, plenty of respect. And Lorenzon not dropping back from McCarthy at this point. As McCarthy catches up to Chris Wright. These drivers just need to be careful about not over driving at this point. Everyone's seeming to be clipping the grass on the exits of the corners. And you can get away with a little bit of a grass clip, but as soon as you get your entirety of your outside wheel on that grass, you find there's not much grip out there, and you might be heading for a one-way trip into a wall. And McCarthy pounding the back of our series sponsor, Chris Wright. And on to, oh, we've got a car in the wall. That is Kinskas. How did he manage this one? Oh, just running a little bit wide on exit. Over the bump there at the start of that curb. Such an easy little bit of a track to just catch you out there. As the car goes up through Surtees and yeah, the exit curb, quite treacherous. Sam McCarthy now. Staring at the back of that baby blue Porsche ahead of him. Now of Chris Wright. We want to try and find a way past soon, but at the moment both seem to be setting very similar lap times. A 1:27.9 for the pair of them on that previous turning round. Ooh, there's just a little bit of a snap of oversteer that is going to put paid to that attack for the moment for Sam McCarthy, as Bernard Bendel has made his way up into P3. Looked like it was actually just a move up the inside at 30s. They come side by side down the back straight, and that was move made for Bernard Bendel on Joe Wilson. Joe Wilson keeping close with Bendel. They come up into Paddock Hill Bend. As Wilson looks to the inside. No space there. Behind Sam McCarthy having the same peak up the inside of Chris Wright. And finds the same lack of room. Sam McCarthy trying to find that gap to make a move. They come down the back straight. Sam McCarthy tucked up behind, looks to the outside. Gonna have to be a brave move to try around the outside. He's awfully close. No room to look to the inside here as we head into Dingledale. Oh, barely millimeters between them. They come down towards the final corner. Through the Clark curve onto the start-finish straight, and at the moment Chris Wright doing enough to hold on to this position, but this battling between the two of them is bringing Lorenzon back towards them. This could become a three-way fight for P6 as Sam McCarthy very nearly having the same snap of oversteer we saw from Balazs Fahir earlier in the race, just about keeping hold of it. Manages to avoid a trip into the gravel. Oh, and they're side by side coming up through 30s. And Sam McCarthy is ahead. Just that little loss of traction there for Chris Wright has allowed Spartan Racing Car through and into P6 in this race. As Christian Fege has made his way past Joe Wilson, although seems like it's a little longer ago than this, because unfortunately our replay has picked up just a little bit too late. As Joe Wilson, though, not giving up this battle, is sticking to the back of Christian Fege. Oh, there's a big snap of oversteer for Christian. Not losing it, though, keeping it on the track, but has lost the position to Joe Wilson. Ooh, and the rear of that car looking awfully unsettled. Is almost losing it through Druids. And as they come down through the Pilgrim's Drop, Joe Wilson holding his own ahead of Christian Fege, but not driving away. He has seem to have tamed that rear end just a little bit. It's not kicking out as much as it was through the first sector. Although, that being said, still looking awfully twitchy. As Joe Wilson has a slide of his own in front. Christian Feet continues to chase. We might be having a battle starting to unfold for the lead of this race, as Reese Tattersall has caught back up to Ryan Ware. The gap now just at less than a second. And that earlier incident meaning we could have a battle for the lead, as Reese Tattersall pushing hard, just going out onto the grass, manages to keep control of the car. We head down to Clark Curve for the 13th time. And we saw in qualifying, Reese Tattersall had a considerable pace advantage, but Brands Hatch Circuit can be a tricky one to overtake at. And will Reese Tattersall be able to force an error out of Ryan Ware in order to take the lead? He's got just over 10 minutes to try and get that opportunity. Ryan Ware will have his mirrors filled with that pink Porsche behind him. As Reese Tattersall tries to find a way through. Looking to the inside, sniffing. As he runs slightly wide onto the grass. They come through Sterling's down towards the Clark Curve. Just short lap here at Brands Hatch. With almost no time to relax. There's even the longish straight of Pilgrim's Drop. Not really enough time to relax. As again, Tattersall getting out onto the gravel. And it is still Ryan Ware leading ahead of Reese Tattersall. Last time around, these drivers separated by only 1/100th of a second in their lap times. But in terms of their fastest laps of the race, Ryan Ware on a 1:27.0, Reese Tattersall on a 1:26.3. So definitely a pace advantage there for our number 2 driver, but not able to translate that into an on-track move as of yet. And we will check in with our battle that's emerging over P4. See if Christian Fagey will have any better luck in getting past Joe Wilson. As these two just also catching up to Bernhard Bendel. This could become a three-way fight over the final podium spot, with just over 7 minutes of this race remaining. As we've got yellow flags out for Ryan Ware. What has happened here? We take a look on the replay of Ryan Ware. Oh, just drifting wide of the apex of Sheen Curve. And that is Ryan Ware into the barrier. And that has cost him the lead of this race. But so much was their lead over the rest of the pack. Ryan Ware still managing to hold on to P2. But that will be considerable damage to the front of his car. And now with Bernhard Bendel, just 2.4 seconds. As we got yellow flags for Rhys Tattersall. What is happening in this race? As Rhys Tattersall coming around Druids and lighting up the rears. I'm not sure whether that was a sympathy slide for Tattersall. As now the battle is back on. Though it must be said, Rhys Tattersall with the much better conditioned car. Nice. Rhys Tattersall just pulling away a bit from Ryan Ware. We will check back in with Joe Wilson, who is catching up to the back of Bernhard Bendel. So now with the threat of Fahey from disappearing from behind, although that threat may be coming back as Joe Wilson tries a little bit of rallycross out in the gravel. And that has made him slip back now from Bendel and into the clutches of Fahey behind. Very nearly running out onto the gravel at Paddock Hill Bend as well. And Joe Wilson running wide of the apex down at Graham Hill Bend. And Christian Fahey, close as he has been for a few laps now. As this becomes a battle for P3, Bernhard Bendel, Joe Wilson and Christian Fahey. Separated by just over a second between these three drivers. I don't... How did they get there? I am very interested to see what happened here. You can't go that way. That's the wrong track. Balazs Fahey thinks he's driving on the Indy circuit and somehow not disqualified from this race. Joe Wilson now caught up to the back of Bernhard Bendel and has brought Christian Fege with him. This is becoming an incredibly close battle between the three of them. That's behind. Lorenzo made his way past Chris Wright. All right, with just a little bit of a loss of traction, and that has allowed Lorenzo to slip around the outside, but loss of traction there for Lorenzo. He has remained ahead. There's Chris Wright fighting slightly lower down the order than we have seen him in previous races. Not getting on with this Brands Hatch circuit, it would seem. One person who is getting on very well with Brands Hatch is Joe Wilson. Now tucked up right behind Bernhard Bendel. As we come through Westfield Bend. Joe Wilson looking to the inside. Oh, as there's contact. Bernhard Bendel pitched into a slide. Oh, and it's Joe Wilson who just got that snap of oversteer, then braking late into Sterling. And that has pitched Bernhard Bendel into the wall. Ooh, very nice of Joe Wilson to slow down for that, but I suspect that Bernhard Bendel still won't be too happy with that one. As the battle ensues now, Chris Wright has got himself back ahead of Lorenzo, but Lorenzo not settling for P8 is back on the attack of Chris Wright. Our leader is on to the final lap of this race. It's Rhys Tattersall ahead of Ryan Ware and Christian Fege, who inherited P3 after that incident between Bendel and Wilson. So we've got yellow flags out for Lorenzo. What has happened here? So close to the back of Chris Wright as he just dipped a wheel out onto the outside of Graham Hill Bend. He has trying to accelerate out of it, not the grip in those rear tyres, and loses out on I believe that's P8, but our race leader and soon to be race winner is Rhys Tattersall. He comes to cross the line and take the win here at Brands Hatch. It will be Rhys Tattersall ahead of Ryan Ware, bringing it home in P2. And Sam McCarthy in P3, and not quite sure where that came from, as Christian Fege crosses the line in P3. Let's see if we can see what's happened here with Christian Fege. Is he out of fuel? Just backing off, because yes, that's Christian Fege out of fuel, I believe. About flashing of the lights, not quite sure what that's all about. There'll have to be a discussion in chat for that one afterwards, I guess. In P5 was Bernhard Bendel. Then Joe Wilson doing the seemingly unearned donuts. Oh, and that is Lorenzo. Chris Wright setting for P7 in that race, as they all do donuts and ruin their pit skill in the walls. I'll say congratulations to all of our drivers, although perhaps we do need to wait for Balazs to actually finish this race rather than just doing donuts out on track. But well, thank you very much for watching, everyone, as we watch some maniacs doing donuts down at Druids, where next week the Pitskill.io Porsche Cup, sponsored by SimQuips, will be heading to the Netherlands for our round at Zandvoort, so do tune in for that. Also, please do tune in to the the Pit Crew TV on Twitch tomorrow evening for the GT3 World Challenge, the flagship series from Pitskill.io. And yeah, we'll be back on this channel same time next week for the next round of the Porsche Cup. Until then, I've been your host, Roy Weller. Have a very lovely rest of your day. Good night.